Hello everyone, my name is Kinetic and welcome to my first look video for the Imperial City DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online. Originally, this video was intended to kind of give you an overview of all the features and all the things that this DLC has to offer, but then I quickly realized that there are so many talking points for this DLC, it's actually really big, that it's hard to fit all of that into kind of a shorter video, which is what I usually aim for with these first look videos. So then I thought, well, let me just give my impressions. How much did I enjoy the DLC? And unfortunately, as I began to list the pros and cons, it quickly became a negative list, overshadowing the positive things for the DLC. And so it became, actually, when I concentrated it down, it became 5 major fails for the Imperial City. Now, before I get into the negativity, I want to kind of go over like my feelings about ESO and what also may be good about the IC or Imperial City DLC as a whole, because I don't want this to be all about negativity. I want to try and end with some positive and begin with some positive elements here. Now, I've only recently gotten back into ESO. Just kind of a quick recap about me as a player. I recently got back in just a few days ago. I finally hit level 50 and I thought, okay, cool, I should be pretty ready for the Imperial City DLC. Oh man, was that wrong? When you're looking around and you're just kind of in the atmosphere, crawling around the sewers or out in the streets of the Imperial City district, you really get the feeling that you are in the Imperial City, I think. And it's a really new and dramatic tone as well, of course, because of all of Molnug Bal's forces, the Worm Cult, and just all these baddies like tearing shit up, trebuchets, throwing things all over the place. It's pretty awesome to look at, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of. The content itself involves a mixture of both PvE and PvP elements. There's a new currency called Tel Var Stones that you can farm through various means. There are also new dungeons to explore, and there's also new gear sets that you can earn through the dungeons or through collecting these Tel Var Stones. Going into this, I knew that there were both PvP and PvE elements mixed into the Imperial City together. You have the PvE mobs and mini-bosses that are roaming around that you can kill either solo possibly or in groups to try and collect Tel Var Stones. And the Tel Var Stones can also be obtained by killing the enemy faction's players. You can loot their corpse and take their stones. 80% of them, which is pretty hardcore actually. And this is where it begins to start a lot of conflicts between the PvE players and the PvP players. I wish it wasn't so polarized. I honestly wish that there are more people that are in the middle. I was looking forward to engaging in both at the same time. I thought it would be exciting, but I'm going to go over why it's not. And we're going to start, okay, with number 1. Failure number 1 for the Imperial City DLC is the difference between those that have veteran ranks and the difference between those that don't. The champion points also are part of this problem as well, but the veteran ranks themselves are probably the bigger issue. If you're unaware of what veteran ranks are, essentially they're kind of like extra levels that you can get above the sort of max level, which is level 50. After level 50, you start at veteran rank 1, and then you start working your way up from there up to now veteran rank 16. This has been a topic that's been raging for quite some time now about how the community wants Zenimax to remove the veteran ranks from the game, and I think that this has a lot to do with them echoing the fact that Zenimax said they were going to do this, or vice versa. I'm not sure, but at some point or another, it became aware to the company and to the community that veteran ranks were bad. And they started to talk about, okay, well, we need to get rid of the veteran ranks then to kind of even things out, especially from a PvP standpoint. The funny thing is they've actually added at least 2 more veteran ranks since they said that they were going to remove the veteran ranks in the first place, which fueled a lot of flames in the community raging at Zenimax that why are you adding more veteran ranks when you just said you were going to remove them? Just remove them. And Zenimax comes back and they're like, look, the veteran rank system is tied to so many things, and I've seen this myself now. It's gear, it's consumable items, it's buffs. The veteran ranks are tied to so many items in ESO that it's no wonder that it's taking them so long to try and figure out a way from a gameplay standpoint, from a coding standpoint, and so many things. How are they going to remove this safely from the game without causing major conflicts? And this is actually something that I want to interject in here, because I honestly don't understand why remove the ranks, because there's nothing, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the veteran ranks themselves. Same thing with the champion points. The issue, the real issue, I think, and the core reason why the community hates the veteran ranks and how they create such huge power gaps between different players is because it's so damn hard to get veteran ranks in this game. I could probably keep ranting about the veteran rank system itself, but simply put, instead of going through all of the hassle, which seems to be a lot of hassle, in order to try and remove the veteran ranks, I think that it would be so much simpler, and I think that the community would accept it for the most part if they would just make it easier to get higher on veteran ranks. 15% decrease in the amount you needed to get to the next veteran rank is nothing. It needs to be nerfed by like 75% or something like that. Now that might sound extreme to some of you, but like I said, if I go a whole day's worth, hours and hours of my gaming time into farming in the Imperial City DLC, and I come out of that with not even a single veteran rank, something is really wrong with the amount of experience needed to get to that level. The veteran rank woes continue here in the Imperial City DLC, as those with the ranks are doing fairly well for themselves, and those without the ranks are really struggling, I think. And this goes for both the PvE and probably especially from the PvP standpoint. Again, the difference in power is just, it's insane. Like, you can't really bring down any mobs if you aren't a fairly mid to high level veteran rank here in the Imperial DLC. And forget about PvP. Anybody that's well geared and up there in their veteran ranks and champion points is gonna wipe the floor with your ass here in the Imperial DLC. Alright, so that was a lot of time spent ranting, unfortunately, about the veteran ranks. I want to go ahead and move into issue number 2, which is about the Tel Var Stones. Not the Tel Var Stones themselves, but again, it's kind of mirroring the same thing with the veteran ranks and how difficult it is to get enough experience to feel satisfying. It's difficult to farm the Tel Var Stones and feel satisfied at the end of the day from that as well. And this is going to vary from player to player, of course, depending on what you're doing, whether you are PvPing primarily, PvEing primarily, if you have some kind of gimmick that makes it easier to farm the stones or whatever. But across the board, right, I think the general experience is that it's too difficult to obtain these Tel Var Stones and way too easy to lose these Tel Var Stones to PvP. Again, I spent hours and hours the other day playing the Imperial City DLC. The amount of time that it took to actually get, let's say, 500 Tel Var Stones in my group was a long time. Hours, actually, of playing together with these other guys, and we were killing a lot of mobs. We were even doing some PvP with other groups and stuff like that. And then suddenly, in a few seconds, suddenly I get singled out. Somebody must have identified or whatever that I was only veteran rank 1, and down I go. In just a few hits, in a few seconds, there goes 500 plus of the stones that took me hours to obtain, and that is the issue. Not because this guy ganked me, because good for him. He managed to find the right opportunity and he took his risk and he got rewarded. Bravo, my friend. Now, I'm pissed off because it just took me hours to get those fucking stones. If it was easier, okay, if it didn't take so long to get those stones, I wouldn't nearly be as upset. Unfortunately, it took me a long time, it took a lot of kills in order to be able to get those stupid stones, and then 80% of them are suddenly lost. I don't have an issue with the 80% either. Again, it's that rate at which I'm able to get them. If I could spend like maybe another 30 minutes or something like that regaining let's say, 500 stones or something like that, I probably could shake it off a lot faster, but it probably took me something like 2 hours to get to that, or maybe an hour and a half, or whatever, to get to 500 Tel Var Stones, and just like that, gone. 80% gone, making me feel really weak and just feeling like a huge loss and waste of time spent here in the Imperial City district, farming all these mobs and roaming around with my group. All of that, 80% of that lost in a flash like that. And this goes for people with or without high veteran ranks. In the group that I was playing with, I was playing primarily with guys that were at least veteran rank 14, I think, for the most part, and they also lost hundreds and thousands, like I did, of Tel Var Stones that day to the PvP players and to these insanely overpowered roaming mini-bosses. Issue number 3 is essentially going to build up to and add another layer to the problems that the veteran ranks have with the difference in power between people with and without, the rate at which you gain Tel Var Stones through PvE, and the rate at which you lose them in PvP. It essentially sets up this group or die situation. Now, through the forums, I'm seeing post after post after post of not only people complaining about the rate at which they are losing Tel Var Stones, but the way that they are losing these Tel Var Stones, and that has to do with, of course, the Zergs. Now, I personally don't think that Zergs are that big of an issue, and I am actually the kind of player that likes to be part of a larger group that is roaming around and having just a lot of fun like that. I find that larger groups are more fun rather than trying to run around in a smaller group or even a solo type of situation. But I can totally understand, and I get why soloing, for example, can be a lot of fun. And I think that essentially my point here is that you should be able to do either one and not have a greater difference in the amount of Tel Var Stones, survivability, and your overall success and enjoyment in the Imperial City DLC. But there is a huge issue here, and a lot of it is pushing people into either being part of a Zerg or getting your ass kicked. This whole group or die pressure is even more true for people that are under, let's say, veteran rank 12, I want to say, for example, or just lower veteran rank in general. If you're not part of a group, a larger group, to help you survive, you have no chance. You have no chance at killing any mobs to collect Tel Var Stones, and you definitely don't have any chance at actually surviving in this place. And even then, if you were part of a group, as you've seen from some of these clips, I got my ass kicked anyway, even though I was part of groups here in the Imperial City DLC. Now, opinions are going to vary on this, on whether players should be allowed to be making larger groups and kind of zerg around the place and stuff like that, because essentially, it's either you're part of the group or you're a dead man. But again, I think it also has a lot to do with the rate of Tel Var Stones and the differences in the veteran ranks. If there wasn't such an issue for, let's say, a single player or a smaller group to be somewhere and able to farm Tel Var Stones and not lose them so dramatically, then they wouldn't have to feel forced to be part of a Zerg in order to gain and be progressive here in the DLC. But as it is, those issues end up compounding into another issue, which is pretty much everybody is running around zerging for the most part, and this just hurts the players that want to solo, this hurts the players that want to be part of the smaller groups, and essentially just kills any options except group up or die. Issue number 4 was kind of mixed in here with the first 3 issues, and that it's simply too difficult. It requires way too much experience still, even here after a 15% nerf, to get to the next veteran level. Issue number 5 is with the dungeons here in the Imperial City DLC. Actually, maybe it's not so much to do with the dungeons. Maybe it's actually got a lot to do with the looking for group tool and how it completely sucks. Zenimax themselves came up on stage at QuakeCon, and I applaud them for this. They kind of put it in a little bit low-key way that essentially their looking for group tool isn't working as well as they would like it to be working. It doesn't work at all, okay? It doesn't work at all. You are gonna have probably better luck finding a group by standing in front of the dungeon entrance rather than using this tool. Or maybe you'll have better luck through the chat roulette and people spamming for looking for a group for all sorts of activities, not even just the Imperial City content, but for all activity. Pledges, dungeons, all sorts of different things. People are trying to find groups, and I'll be honest, I sat there and watched the chat for a good long while, and I saw the same people spamming and praying for a group to find for the content that they wanted to be a part of, which is just sad. I really think that Zenimax did a fantastic job of fixing a lot of things, improving a lot of features for ESO as a whole, not just for the DLC, but for the core game. They did a lot of things. If you look at the patch notes, it's unreal how long that list is. Man, if only they would have gotten the looking for group tool fixed. It's like getting an awesome like pizza, french fry, and cola lunch, only to reach over for that drink and your cola is flat. It's got no carbonation, and so it's just like it's not nearly as satisfying as it could be. And that's kind of the same flavor, I feel like, for the dungeons now here in not just the core, but of course in the Imperial City DLC. I can't find a group. Very few people I think that I know in both of my guilds. I have a PvE guild, I have a PvP guild. They probably are not going to invite me because of such a huge difference in the veteran ranks. Again, God, it comes back to these veteran ranks again. It would have made it just a lot more satisfying, and it would have made it a lot easier as a quality of life improvement for the game and for the Imperial City DLC if they would have had this looking for group tool fixed by this point. It really saddens me that they didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to my entire rant if you're still watching the video up to this point. Again, I hate that it ended up being a mostly negative and full of complaints as far as my impressions of the Imperial City DLC, but I gotta be real, I gotta be honest, and I'm not just looking at this from a selfish standpoint either. I'm thinking about this as a whole for the community, these points that I've listed here. Now, I wanted to end this video on some kind of positive note. I think, as I said earlier at the beginning of the video, I want to talk about and have some positive things to say, but it's actually going to come out to be probably a lot more bittersweet than anything as far as my feelings for ESO and the Imperial City DLC. I've been talking about, both through videos up to this point and on my live streams, about how much fun I've been having with ESO as a whole and how much I'm looking forward to the Imperial City DLC. Both the core game and now the DLC have tons of potential to be a lot of fun for a lot of people, regardless of your playstyle. Be it PvE or PvP, ESO and the DLC have a lot of interesting things to offer, but there are some critical flaws here that are making it very difficult to enjoy the game. And so ultimately, at this point, unfortunately, I'm not going to play ESO anymore. I'll wait until they remove the veteran ranks. When they do that, and I'll be paying really close attention to the other changes, hopefully, that they'll be doing for example, fixing the looking for group tool, and maybe they will add some more improvements to the way Tel Var Stones are gained, balances as well to gameplay styles, and adding more options to the way that you can have fun in ESO and the Imperial DLC, whether you're a PvP player or whether you're a PvE player. That's going to do it for this first look video of the Elder Scrolls Online's Imperial City DLC. It's a mixed bag, man. I mean, I'm sure that there are definitely, again, some aspects for both PvE players and PvP players to enjoy here, but there's also definitely some issues I think that are going to trip players up on both sides and make it very disappointing and hard to enjoy the DLC as a whole and the ESO experience currently right now. If you are a part of the ESO experience and the DLC, I would like to hear what your experiences are and what are your thoughts on, for example, the differences between PvE play and PvP play, Tel Var Stones, veteran ranks, and stuff like that. Shoot off down in the comment section below. If you are somebody that is looking at this for kind of a verdict and maybe, kind of helping you decide whether you want to get the DLC or not, I'll be honest, don't take my word for it. Take everything that I said here with a grain of salt, and kind of literally, I'm a little bit salty after playing the Imperial City DLC. Do your own research though, maybe get some other opinions on what other people have to say, and try to form up your own opinion on what the DLC actually offers and whether it's fair or not. Click the like button to support these First Look Friday videos. I do these each and every Friday for a different game, a new game, or maybe a new expansion or DLC for a game. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.